don't sell a product, sell to a customer. So I think there's a difference between like selling a product or selling to our customers, because if you're just building a product, you're not really more in-depth understanding why these customers are buying it, who they are, more details of your audience that you're building. So I think as long as a lot of cases, if you really create a community, if you really learn, if you sell something to a customer, I think you will really do better building a business. Really, you understand ins and outs of these customers, what they want, how much they're willing to pay for it, and what are the changes they want to your product. So I think really kind of focusing on the customer than the product. That would be my.
I think that's definitely a. Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where we help startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat. We're always here to help. Now, today we have another great guest on the podcast, Russel Karim. And Russel was born in Bangladesh and moved to the U.S. at age 17. Family was always involved with businesses, and after high school, I wanted to take an adventure away from home. So I went to college in Iowa, which I don't know why Iowa is an adventure, but why not? Let's do it. Started a business during his first year of college. Did it for fun, but didn't really go anywhere. It was fun, but didn't necessarily go anywhere. Started another app development business. Built an app for himself, doing, I think, ordering food in stadiums. Exited that business in 2015. After graduation, took a job at the college and abandoned startups for a period of time. Then started doing a side hustle called Food Runner that was at night. Sold that in 2019. Did a bit of other work for some helping clothing brands, and now is building that up, with a team of 13 people and a couple offices in the U.S. and Bangladesh. So, with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Russel.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Yeah, that was quite the mouthful, so I appreciate the intro.
Absolutely. I try and take a much longer journey and condense into a 30-second version of it. So now with that, let's unpack it just a bit. So tell us how your journey got started, originally being born in Bangladesh and then moving over to the US at 17.
Absolutely. So obviously, pretty much half of my first life, I kind of, born and raised in Bangladesh. And after high school, just wanted to go somewhere different. As I said, I wanted to really go somewhere that was outside of my comfort zone. So applied about 17 universities across the world. And I end up in Iowa, which is very ironic, but, really small town, Midwest, came to UNI, University of Northern Iowa, did my undergrad there. And right away, I think wanted to start a business. I think entrepreneurship is something that involved in our family, and that's something I think we learn in our dinner table that this is how I wanted to do. So I started a company called solverpedia.com in my freshman year. I have seen there is a knowledge gap between the elders and the young generation, so wanted to create a space for them how they can pass their knowledge to the younger generation. So it's called Solverpedia. All the young generation, they can ask questions, and the elders and the scholarly writers, they can write about it. As I mentioned, it didn't go far, but we got Innovation of the Year in the state, and then just still the journey, the experience that went through. From there, started another company building mobile applications and web application in the Midwest. Built quite a few local applications. I actually end up building the app for the university that I was studying, so that really helped, paid for some of my college. Then started another company called.
Jump over just went through a couple quick. So maybe just back up just a little bit. So while you're doing these startups in college, what were you studying, or what was the degree you were going after?
Yeah, so when I was, obviously building this app in the college, the goal, again, I think I wanted to be involved in the startup. It's really the part of the kind of getting involved in the journey. Amazing. There were quite a few opportunities at the university available. We actually had an entrepreneurial center at the university, which is like a mentorship center that kind of walks you through. So, part of the goal was really getting involved with the community, getting involved with this kind of startup community. We would host a lot of startup events in the community, and I was involved. So I think part of the goal that I had is building the next big thing. Obviously as a startup, we always want to do that. And I think this just kind of give me the balance with the studying and also running something while I was studying. So I think that's kind of the visions. Right away, I think with that, there's quite a few learning. I think one of the learning and the pitfalls is like, if I didn't start that Solverpedia, I wouldn't go to the next stage, right? So it's just like, I think one thing is steps for the next step that I'm taking, or next big jump I'm taking. So it was an amazing experience just building. And when I built that, and I mentioned that the second thing I built was the app for the university. So part of it, I feel like—
Real quick, I'll just circle back on my question.
Yes.
I still don't know if I heard an answer. So, as a good attorney, I can't leave the answer unanswered. So why you're studying doing all these startups, what was the degree you're studying?
Oh, yes. So sorry, I just totally missed that. So I was, you're saying like what I was studying, and can you repeat the question again, Devin?
Yeah, what was the degree you were studying in college?
Yes. Okay. So my degree was computer science. So I was actually studying computer science and entrepreneurship. So my major in entrepreneurship, minoring in entrepreneurship. So it's really the perfect balance between, I think, what I was trying to do. And yeah, so that's kind of really kind of paved the path as I was studying, because some of the app I was building really that also class project that I could use it. So it really worked perfect for that. But interestingly, I think I want to mention a little further on the app that I built for the university, which really showcased. So what I have done is I actually work for orientation, like for university orientation, and I have seen that university, they're spending over $20,000 building some physical books that they give out to the students, and the students, they would like, they're expecting the student to keep this book for, it's called traditional challenge, where the student will go to the university tradition, they go to Campanile, go to the games, they take a picture on the book, and take a picture and paste on the book. End of the graduation, they're supposed to return to the alumni and get a like medallion for their like living like a panther, right? So it didn't make sense to me, and being a problem solver, I'm like, there is a better way to do this. And I think the question of there's a better way to do it, that's really drove me like, hey, I can do a better way this. So what I did, I actually wrote a business plan and a contract with the alumni. I didn't have an app back in the day. So I just really write, I mean, you're a lawyer, you probably understand, really wrote a contract, really wrote the scope, what I was trying to build. And, they have seen that I was kind of involved in the app. I took it to the university and talked to the leadership that, hey, I can build you guys an application that would track the student, they can download the app, we know how much activities they're doing, all those details. Right away, they actually believed me, and they signed a contract, pay for the service. And with the service fee that I got, I actually put together a team to build the app that I wanted to build. So it was really experience of like, instead of selling the product, right away, I sold the idea to them. And with the idea I was able to sell, I was able to actually make that idea come true with the resources I have got. So I think that was just really right away, amazing experience that is possible, that even I was like, sophomore in college, I was able to do a contract with the university and sell a product where thousands of students at the end of the day, like I think we had 2,000 students using the app when I was graduating. So it was a really good feeling of like providing something, and showcase that anything is possible as long as we put our mind to it. So that was great. From there, I think I jump into, as I mentioned, I built a company called 4Axis IT Solution USA, where we're building mobile applications, web app.
Maybe just one question before that. So
yeah,
So you did a couple apps while you were in school. The first one, kind of built it. It was fun, didn't go anywhere. The next one, you did it with the school and you built that out. Now, as you're building that out and before graduation, what kind of happened with that app? Did the school keep using it? Did you sell it to them and you have no idea what they're doing now? Kind of what happened with that second business that you ended up doing with the university?
Absolutely. So yeah, university, they keep using the app, and we're keep supporting that application to the university. And what we decided that actually university went to largest conference and actually showcased the app that, hey, this is possible to about like few hundred colleges. So there's like a conference, it's called, I think, case conference for like alumni and student engagement conference. So they showcased our app. Actually, there's quite a few universities that are interested to like, hey, we want to do this and that. And there's actually another company who we're trying to sell application to these universities. So they actually approached us to buy our company at the time. So, it's like, hey, we wanted to buy that app, buy the applications. Then actually I decided to kind of go through the due diligence and everything. I thought there's a bigger opportunity for us to even, sell it to other universities. So we didn't really go to the acquisition for ourselves. Then we actually try to sell this application to other universities. So that's kind of the little mini approach that we have taken to kind of build it for other university. Then actually I got wrapped up with other apps and really kind of planned to kind of shut that like approach of selling to others and just kept it to that one university we sold. So that's kind of where it's really kind of ended. At the end of the day, we just kind of gave all of the application to the university and they were managing and running it themselves. So as I kind of exited from that. So yeah, so that's kind of what happened, the journey with that. But, looking back, I mean, I think there were opportunity, but again, as a young entrepreneur, there's a lot of things that I didn't know. There's a lot of things, I think we would have done differently, but I think it is at the end of the day, it's about the journey that we take and learn from this. And again, I think at a young age, negotiating with some really big company with the app and really making sure what clause we give, what we don't give. So there's a lot of, I think, yeah, maybe I needed Devin Miller back then. So, the lawyer to really help me out, but I was trying to do a lot of myself, and I think there's a lot I would have done differently.
Sure, no, makes sense. And it's always a bit of, I think, a learning experience and learning curve as you're figuring things out with the business, what makes sense, what do you want to do, what are the opportunities you want to chase, when to sell, when to hold on to it, and what that looks like. And so now as you're saying, okay, you've done some of these startups, you're graduating, you're coming out of school, and did you go work for someone else? Did you decide to go work for yourself, do another startup, or kind of now as you're graduating, no longer to a degree have the security of being a student? There's always a bit of a difference. And I started my first startup when I was in graduate school as a student, and it has a much different flavor when you're still doing student, you're on student loans, or you're having scholarships or anything else. But you don't have to have some of the real world pressures of, hey, now I got to make a full-time wage and I don't have that protection as student. So now you're coming out, and so how did you kind of make that transition, or what did you kind of land on as you're coming out of graduating from school?
Absolutely. I think, there's a few factors for me. I'm an immigrant entrepreneur. So there's a lot more legality that comes with that as well. So I was graduating from college, I think one of the big part of it is really making sure that keeping the status active. Like, I don't know the audience, if they know, for international students, there's a lot more paperwork that you have to do while you are, or either legally work in the States or, work on a startup. So there's quite a few approach that you can take. For me, is really making sure that I can keep that status active, still continue to build my vision that I have. So for me, actually, I was building my the 4-axis company as a student. Then I actually got a job offer actually right away from the university, and university also offered to help me with the paperwork, because it's actually, when you work for the university, your paperwork is more streamlined, because we consider as a more scholarly employees, where the government paperwork is a lot more easy and streamlined for university faculties and the staff. So decided to just take that, because that was just really gonna help me my big vision. So I think at the end of the day, it's really the big vision what I wanted to do. So I actually right away took the job with the university as a programmer for the university. I got involved with a lot of data analytics for the university, and working with some of the big data processing, really making a lot of data meaningful for the university leadership. And I think that was really helpful, because I was always involved in the college level when I was at the university. So I already knew a lot of the people that I would be working with. So it was really kind of easy transition to kind of working for the university as well, where supporting my alma mater, and also kind of working on my bigger vision that I have.
So that makes sense, and especially you're saying, hey, makes it a little bit easier to stay in the country and deal with the different, whether green cards or whatnot, or citizenship and all those issues. And so you stay with the university for a reasonable period of time. And now I think while you're working with or graduating, working for the college, you also started a side hustle, and I think you mentioned it was called Food Runner. Is that right? And kind of
That is
starting
right.
that on the nights, weekends type of a thing as you're doing the full-time job.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I think entrepreneur, we're always entrepreneur, right? It's the lifestyle we live. So obviously I was bored at night. So like, there gotta be something different I need to do. One of the problem I've seen in the Midwest, living in the Midwest, we didn't have a lot of option for food, especially, in college towns. And we didn't have, back in the day, we didn't have the Grubhub, we didn't have the Uber Eats, none of the options. The only option we had was for food delivery, where pizza and Chinese. I'm like, there's a better way to do this. And again, it's coming down to there's a better way. And, wanted to solve that problem. So we built a company called Food Runner, where three of our friends, actually college friends, I brought two other friends and started this company. So we were actually delivering food from over 100 local restaurants in the community. So we just started very small. Right away, we made some partnership with kind of core businesses or partners that we had. Then actually we made it to the TV, local TV. It just took off. We had so much demand. Then we grew to like 50 drivers in the community, which was really big for us. We brought in about $1.2 million for revenue for the local restaurants within our first year. So it was just an amazing journey that, we just started with nothing and put together applications, and that took off. We're able to employ a lot of locals, our students and local drivers, and also made an impact in that economical impact for those restaurants that we have in the community. So yeah, that was the journey. But I think there's a few things happen. I think that really helped us to accelerate the business fast. As a looking back, one of the things was at the time we're building this company that the city decided to rework that, pretty much the main street, main street, rework that. So there's a lot of construction going on. Because of this whole construction going in the city, a lot of people, they couldn't get access to this food, and like, how to navigate all those like roads are being like taken away. So it's just, our service was right on time, on the timing, and it was just really well accepted by the community. So I think those are the two things really worked or helped us accelerate faster for our business.
Oh, makes sense. And I think that, that's a lot of what you now have today, which is Uber Eats and some of Grubhub and other those that are kind of offer additional food services or options to people. And I think that sounds like, you were on the cusp of anticipating that and seeing that as a problem as well. And I think as we talked a bit before, you ended up selling off that business in 2019 and then started focusing on what the current company is. And definitely feel free to share. But what made you decide to or sell that business, and how did you decide what you're going to be doing or land on what you're doing today?
Absolutely. So I think, that's something I'd love to share is as we're 2019, we're continuing to grow the business. We actually expanded to 3 other cities, our company, so really expanding. But we have seen that there's a lot of competition coming in, so now this is the time, like Grubhub, Uber Eats, then other partners, they're trying to get into the market. So as you said, this is a learning moment. It's like, hey, we know how this big player are going to crush us with the marketing budget that they have, or we try to find an exit. So we always had an exit strategy in our mind. What are the ideal exit look like? Right away, actually, before we know that they are gonna come in about a year ahead, we're already talking to some of our competition who's trying to come into the market. We're approaching them and trying to have those discussions. So we actually we're negotiating with 2 competition at the same time and trying to understand what are the offer they'll give us if they have to kind of buy our asset, buy everything, and what actually they're buying us, what they're buying for, what they're paying for this. It was interesting because those companies they're coming in, they're really venture backed, have millions and millions of dollars in their bank. They try to go 10 to 20 cities a month. Every month they're trying a new cities. So they call it hatching. They try to hatch 10 or 20 eggs. And at the end of the day, they want to only hatch 5 to 6 eggs. If that hits the metrics, they want to keep it for 6 months, they'll stay on the city. Other than that, they're going to move on. So they decided to, they have this kind of startup cost that they invest in a city. So we decided to kind of
now you say, you kind of look at the competitive landscape to say, okay, this is one where they're going to have a lot bigger dollars. They're going to they're trying to enter things in. It's going to be hard to continue to compete. So with that as kind of the backdrop, and you said, okay, I'm going to sell the business. Then, where did you land on, or what was the next phase, or how did you land on what you're doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we, negotiating this 2 company, we actually got back and forth offer from both companies. And at the end of the day, what we decided to go with the company that kind of matches with our values, because, at the end of the day, we build so many relationships with local restaurants. These are small mom and pops restaurants. They dependent on some of the revenue that we brought in. So we kind of actually interviewed those people. They're buying us as well. And at the end of the day, we matched the company that giving us really good offer on the stock and the cash that we got. So kind of went with the company, but also we really looked for the value that matched our value and the local values that we're operating as well. So that's kind of how we decided to exit. So we exit the company in May 2019. Then right away, I wanted to do something different. So the goal I had is, as I'm, earlier in the interview, I mentioned that I grew up in Bangladesh, which is the 2nd largest clothing exporter in the world. So if you wear a lot of clothes, Devin, you might have a label that say made in Bangladesh. A lot of people don't know. We export about $35 billion worth of clothing every year just from Bangladesh. About 4.5 million people actively work in the garment industry in Bangladesh. So it's a huge thing, and this is something you really grew up with. You really learn all the hoops in this space. Then as I'm living in the US, and a lot of my startup friends, they're also building clothing businesses. What I have seen that this small to mid-sized clothing brand, they're also struggling to source their product effectively, easily from this manufacturing. A lot of cases, they work with middlemen from LA and New York or the local communities they have. They don't really have access to this direct production or the transparency in this space. And right away, I know this is a really large opportunity because, apparel and the clothing is $1 trillion industry, but it is still very old technology, old system. They're still running everything. So there needed to be a technology innovation in this space. And that's what I wanted to bring. So with that, right away, I interviewed about 300 brands and the manufacturers, start doing this, how they're doing the business right now, what they do, what are the processes, what are the problems. So really kind of we dig in. I put together a team to do an in-depth market research in this space. What does our competition landscape look like? What are the people doing right now? And right away, we knew that there needed to be this kind of technology, interjection in this space. So we built a company called Dhakai.com. It's DHAKAI.com. which is a marketplace that enable small to mid-sized clothing brand to go from idea to a finished product ethically, sustainably, and with 30% cost saving through a single technology platform. So pretty much what we're like a Shopify for clothing supply chain. What Shopify is doing to help brand to sell their product easily or help you launch a website, we allow those same brands to source their product easily. So that's kind of a little bit of story with that Dakai.com, my current startup that I'm working on.
Awesome. No, that was definitely an interesting journey and certainly fun to hear. So now as we kind of catch up to where you're at in the present and where your journey's taken you, it's a great time to transition to the two questions I always ask at the end of each podcast. So first question I always ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? And what'd you learn from it?
Yeah, I think the worst business decision probably I made is not hiring actually like the accountant or financial analyst right away in the business for one of the reasons, or just a financial expert into the business in one of my company for Food Runner. The reason I think we as a startup, we tend to do a lot of things ourselves, or we really grind to like, we're doing the legal, we're doing the financials, we're doing the business plan, we're doing the pitching. You're doing pretty much, you're wearing every hat. But I think at some point you have to replace yourself and really bring those resources or put individuals or resource that's better than you or have the expertise in this space. And I think really I wish we put a better financial process in our Food Runner business. That would have helped us even further, because I think the type of traction we have made would have been able to raise a lot more money and grow a lot faster. But because of some of the financial mechanism, we didn't understand what's happening in the business, because really day in and day out we're in the business, not working on the business. I think that kind of took our mindset of not seeing the bigger picture. So I think that's probably, I would say, worst, because one of the worst is one of our actual drivers stole some money and the manager stole some money from the business, which was really interesting experience to kind of go through. Like, what do you do now? Like, well, someone stole some money from your business, and kind of going through this whole legal process. And I think having those better financial process to that that would have really helped us early on. But again, we're young. Back in the days we didn't know, and the journey we went through, now we know better. Now we know how to overcome those struggles that we have. So I think obviously, I think that's something, the takeaway I have, really bring financial expert to your business right away as you're growing the company, so they can actually support you and help you build a better business and grow your company faster.
Makes perfect sense. So now, second question I always ask is, talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what'd be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I think one piece of advice I'll give to entrepreneurs trying to start business is don't sell a product, sell to a customer. So I think there's a difference between like selling a product or selling to our customers, because if you're just building a product, you're not really more in-depth understanding why these customers are buying it, who they are, more details of your audience that you're building. So I think as long as a lot of cases, if you really create a community, if you really learn, if you sell something to a customer, I think you will really do better building a business. Really, you understand ins and outs of these customers, what they want, how much they're willing to pay for it, and what are the changes they want to your product. So I think really kind of focusing on the customer than the product. That's what we
I think that's definitely a great piece of advice, and there's always a lot of wisdom in focusing on the customer. Sometimes you get too caught up on the product or some of the cool things and the features, and focusing on the customer is a great takeaway. Well, as we wrap up, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, or find out more?
So anybody is interested to reach out, they can, email me, Russel, Russel, at Dakai, DHAKAI.com. and they can also find more details, more information about on our website. But LinkedIn and the email would be the best way for me to connect with potential investors or customers or anybody looking for advice or anything, or any way we can add value to them. Happy to connect.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, contact, and support a great business. So with that, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been it's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners, if you have your own journey to tell and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So just go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners, make sure to click subscribe, share, leave us a review. So we want to make sure that everyone finds out about all these awesome episodes. And last but not least, if you ever need help with your patents or trademarks or anything else through the business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat. We're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Russel, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thanks, Devin. I appreciate it.